advisory. Yeah, boy, oh, water advisory. Boy, oh, water advisory. Boy, oh, water advisory.
And we are joined in the studio here today with the Gingrich family, and Lukas, Micah, and Heather are here with us. And today we're talking with Lukas right now, and so Mom has to be quiet because she already knows stuff, and I want to hear what the kids have to say. So, Lukas, tell me about water. What do you know about it?
About water? Well, it depends. Specifically, what would you like to know?
Specifically? Well, you know we're made of 80% water, so what can water do to our body, do you know?
Well, water, if it's taken in at the right amounts and it's clean, it can be very good for you. But if not, if it's toxic, it can cause, diseases like cancer and stuff like that.
And apparently you have a school that you go to that you don't drink the water at school.
No, actually, I don't. Most of the time I bring water bottles or I just don't drink.
Well, that's not healthy to not keep hydrated either, right?
I usually drink before and after school, so I can make up for it then.
That's good. Now, what's wrong with your school water? Does it taste funny?
It actually, a lot of people complain about the taste. We have a new kid at our school, and I'm not going to say his name, but he complains about the water a lot.
It's always the new kid that tells you something special.
Uh-huh.
So everybody should pay attention to the new kid. Like always, be nice.
Yeah, he complains about the water taste a lot because he's from Toronto, so I think it tastes a little different there. But
I believe there's more chlorine here in London, or perhaps.
So this is where I get outed as a former homeschooling parent. And in homeschooling, there's some awesome things, but there aren't a lot of tests. So we'll just quiz them right now. So Lukas, where does the water in Ingersoll come from?
The water in Ingersoll?
Yeah, does it come out of the ground or does it come out of a lake or a river?
I'm pretty sure it's groundwater.
Yeah, so 100% of Oxford County is groundwater dependent. So people just turn on their taps. They don't think about where the water is coming from, but there's basically two sources. Like every community in the world will either be on groundwater, which will come out of a well, or they'll be on surface water, which will be a lake or river. Some places that maybe are on farms, like in the Australian outback or something like that, they'll be on rainwater, and they'll collect rainwater. And then some communities in Ontario, like there's no municipality in Ontario that is on rainwater. But as a matter of fact, we have bylaws that keep you from using your rainwater. So those need to be changed. But then some municipalities are also mixed. So there'll be some wells and there'll be some like maybe river water or something like that.
There are actually bylaws?
There are actually bylaws that
Wow.
keep you from harvesting and drinking. Like you can do whatever you want in your house, but where you can get in trouble is if you feed it into the municipal sewer system. But anyway, so we will change those.
At school, so the water tastes funny to your friend who came from Toronto?
Which is
Toronto
on
area?
surface water or groundwater. Do you know?
I'm actually not sure about Toronto.
It's on surface water. It
Surface
comes out of
water.
Lake Ontario. So they're both wet, but that's where the similarities end. So
Got
any
it.
chemical contaminants will be different on surface water versus groundwater, which our current regulations actually don't even think about, and either does public health.
I learn new
And,
stuff every day with her.
Yeah, I know that. But you're going to school, so you'll drink bottled water from home.
Yeah.
And so what's your system like at home? What do you have installed?
It's a
in your
reverse
house?
osmosis filter, which I'll probably have my mom explain a little bit more about what that is. But I just know that it tastes a lot better to me than the school water does.
Yep. Yeah.
And so we have a reverse osmosis filter, which a lot of people who can afford it, when we got our system installed, it was about $3,500. But this is, we were just in an economic position where we could afford to pay that out of pocket. And Lukas, on my side of the family, his grandmother and his grandfather and his only uncle, his only sibling on my side, were all diagnosed with cancer. It was actually allopathic medicine, like it was medical treatment that killed them. But they were originally diagnosed with possibly, the balance of probability is it was water related. So because I had that family history and their dad had a decent income, we just made the decision to put in a reverse osmosis system because I knew that was the technology that would protect against that risk factor. However, the technology also needs its own protection. So in a community like ours where the water, it's not hard water, it's bullet water. It's like one step beyond hard water. It's really super hard. You have to have several other stages in front of that. So you have to have a water softener in front of it, and you have to have a sediment and a particulate filter in front of that. So the whole system would probably cost $5,000. Now, having said that, none of that exists at Lucas's school. And when I asked Lucas's pediatrician what we should do about that, if maybe they would write a letter or something like that to the school board, they said, well, just, bring bottled water from home. And I pointed out that that didn't help Lucas's classmates or people that we went to school with that could not afford the $5,000 system or to buy bottled water. And he basically said that that wasn't his problem because they weren't his patients. So,
well, that's the saddest state of the healthcare system.
Yeah, I was a little vexed, as you can imagine.
And so you don't drink the water at school now, and they're linked up with, I believe, the Thames Valley District School Board. So that's actually local. It's considered local. So I guess that's something that we have to look at and have to address within our own place here in London, as well as Ingersoll surrounding areas that are via the Thames Valley District School Board. There's a heads up for you guys.
Well, actually, it's a municipal election year, and so there are school board trustees. If you are someone within the sound of my voice and you are in the Thames Valley District School Board, you can run for school board trustee. And that is something that the trustee is meant to interface between the community and the school board and also deal with the Ministry of Education in Toronto.
We can hit the big city. That'd be a good thing, too.
It's not just one community's problem, so...
Yeah, it's pretty much everybody's like, so what happens? Like, okay, Lucas is, he's in human form as we see him, but he's actually a bird clan, the canary bird clan, which new kids are also typically also in the canary bird clan, because if you have a problem, they will let you know, usually by getting sick. So, or, doing something, they'll stop singing.
Let's just say I've gotten my good use out of the healthcare system.
Yeah. That's great. You keep it up. We
No, we don't want him getting his money's worth out of the healthcare system.
But it's beneficial that it's there. You have to admit that for some things.
Yeah.
For other things, like infringing on human rights, they're not very up on. But that's just from personal experience. And so what else about water is it that, you've gone on walks with Josephine Mondamon. Mm-hmm. Grandmother.
Well, actually, no. I was trying to remember which kid that was.
Okay. Well, so, I know Judah went.
Yeah, for the most part, it's been Judah, because he's actually been, since he's a little older, he's been on a lot more trips. I know a fair bit, but he puts me to shame. So.
Well, no, he doesn't. He does. No, well, he tries. Well, he's an older brother, so he will put you in a headlock very readily. But can we plug the older brother? Because the older brother. The older brother is, the reason why he's not here is because he's an actor. And he's in a high school musical at Ingersoll District Collegiate Institute. And so if you want to come to Ingersoll and talk to me and talk to the youth, because pretty much everybody in Ingersoll, because I've been there for 20 years, knows what's what when it comes to the water. So it's We Will Rock You, which is the music of Queen, which is so awesome because, it's all that awesome music from like the 1980s and 90s that I grew up with.
I thought you were a Robbie Robertson fan.
Yeah, I am a Robbie Robertson fan, but it's May 3rd, 4th, and 5th at 7 p.m. at Ingersoll District Collegiate Institute in Ingersoll. Tickets are $10, and the money that's raised will go to equipment for the school.
Great.
I was talking with the director, the teacher, Mr. McIntosh, Ewan McIntosh, and we were talking about, wouldn't it be cool if we could have a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer in the
Excuse
school?
me, say what?
So the modern equipment.
Okay, wait. What is this?
Well, I'm gonna have to let her explain that because she's explained it to me at least 10 times and I still don't fully understand it.
So basically, it is the machine that the Olympic Drug Squad uses when they are trying to identify performance-enhancing chemicals in liquid samples of athletes' urine. You could use the same machine that the Olympic Drug Squad uses to see everything like performance-destroying chemicals in your tap water.
And, well, that sounds like a good point. What do you think there, Lucas?
I think that actually that sounds like a very good idea. I feel like we don't have enough testing in schools because everyone just follows the guideline. But if the guideline isn't correct, then that's not necessarily a good thing.
Well, no, you say that you don't have enough testing in schools. Don't you guys have to write that grade 3 and 6 and 9, 10 literacy
But
and whatever test? Here's what I think.
I am talking.
We're talking about water, and we're here about
Yes.
the youth, and you're not young enough.
Why
I'm
are we
gonna
helping?
turn you off.
Why are we helping the ministry
We're going to
get
turn you
quality
off,
assurance,
girlfriend.
quality control data when they can't guarantee that the water coming out of the fountains that is costing 6 to 10 IQ points? Like you're getting really low score. Okay, so Ingersoll has really low scores, especially in math and the EQAO. And their explanation for this is just we have the stupidest kids, the worst parents, and the most incompetent teachers. Whereas I think if you were to test the water, you would find a bunch of neurotoxins and hormone disruptors, which research has linked to missing 6 to 10 IQ points, which might be a contributing factor. So I'm saying if we're helping out the Ministry of Education with quality control, quality assurance through our EQAO testing, and we do this voluntarily, because it's not part of your grade,
Yes.
why don't they help us by helping us get evidence that the water that our tax dollars pay for the facility gets used to make sure that it's safe, and if we have a problem, well, then we'll figure that out and figure out what to do
The one
about
thing
it.
you need to remember, though, is that I'm not saying we should have more EQAO tests. I'm not for that.
I'm saying you should use
But,
some
uh,
leverage.
But I do think that we should test the water more frequently.
So, and how can we help the Ministry of Education send the message that perhaps we're serious about having access to information? Like I'm probably the biggest rebel in my home. My children are in constant trying to keep me from getting arrested.
That's
So-
okay, but go ahead, Lucas.
Oh no, sorry. I'm actually just having fun listening to her right now.
So the question is, am I suggesting that perhaps there's something youth can do, knowing that they're really just being very helpful for the Ministry of Education and giving them information about how their education system is working, that maybe they need some sort, and none of this is used for your grade.
Oh no, I know that. I was actually
Yes.
one of the things they put on the EQAO pamphlet to not scare you away is that it doesn't affect your grade.
Yes. So my question is if we're helping, like all the students are helping the Ministry of Education make sure that schools are safe and healthy and efficient, how can the Ministry of Education help you feel safe and healthy in your school? Maybe by, going the
help me.
extra, because here's the
What's
problem.
that, Lucas?
Well, I think that how they could help me, I feel like how they could help most kids is making sure they had safe water by not by doing more EQAO tests, but just by testing the water more. Because I'm pretty sure that you would not be helping most kids by giving them more EQAO tests.
So, but okay, so what
That's
if
true.
what if we did the tests and we found that there's like a lot of like chemicals like they had in Flint, Michigan that you guys have been drinking this whole time? What should we do with that information? Because that's kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it is upsetting, sure, but I feel like people need to know that. I mean, they need to be making informed decisions. I mean, sure, there's that saying, ignorance is bliss, but that's not necessarily true when you're talking about water and health.
Yeah, because like I know what happens because I hang out with a lot of moms in Ingersoll, and it's very challenging to be a mother in Ingersoll because your kids are getting sick quite frequently. Usually, so like what happens to you, Lukas? Like if you were to drink the water, not from home, how does that affect you?
How does it affect me? Most of the time, I throw up sometimes, but most of the time, yeah, it's pretty.
You got sick?
Yeah, I get sick lots of the time. I think
He's got a
partially because of
trigger.
that.
He's got a trigger stomach.
Yeah, I get
projectile vomit.
I get pretty sick most of the time when it comes to stuff like that, because sometimes I just forget to bring a water bottle, and then one day, this was the worst. We had track and field. I forgot to bring a water bottle, and I had to drink the water at school, and I felt so awful after.
Yep.
You get like a belly,
exactly,
upset, right?
a stomach ache, and also sometimes, I actually vomit, and then I stay home from school, and then I'm better, but then I go back, and
and the water's the same. The water hasn't
they don't change anything while you're away.
No, they don't. I can keep waiting for that to happen. But you, like air and water quality often go together.
Oh yeah.
What happens to you? Like, do you have any problems with your lungs?
Well, I do have asthma.
You have asthma?
Yes, I have.
Never know it.
Oh, sorry.
Know it. It's not. I wouldn't think it was very common.
Well, I know a few kids who have asthma, but I'm pretty much the only one in my class I know of that actually has asthma, and I've got like the bundle, which is hay fever, asthma, and eczema.
Oh.
So it's pretty bad sometimes, but.
So you actually, your superhero name is Baby Deadpool. Is that not true?
Yeah, my grandfather used to call me that, and Shake and Bake, which was hilarious.
A Chernobyl baby.
Yeah.
We also used to call you that because Lukas. He actually goes to Toronto Sick Kids. He is a poster child for the pediatric dermatology clinic at Toronto Sick Kids. So one of the things that Lukas is helping me with is that we are gathering evidence about what's in the water. And Toronto Sick Kids, believe it or not, like it's a world-class hospital, but their records-keeping system is really old and outdated. And they're updating it right now, and they're using an electronic patient record system called Epic. So when I talked to his pediatric dermatologist, Dr. Elena Pope, she was really interested to know what was in the water where Lukas lived so that she would know what he was exposed to, because at Toronto Sick Kids, you get kids from all over the province. There's 3 pediatric hospitals in Ontario. London Health Sciences is one, but they use a different electronic patient record system than Toronto Sick Kids. And I don't even know, so there's Toronto Sick Kids, and then there's CHEO, the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. So, so that's how, remember Dr. Paul Van Aragon, that's one of the projects that we're working on is...
the AI.
Yeah.
One of her friends, She talks to me about this stuff all the time.
The eczema. So you find that you have breakouts if you drink like some of the water from school and not filtered?
I wouldn't. I'm actually not sure if I can say anything about that because I have breakouts, but I'm not sure if they're related to the water.
But you bathe in the water.
But yeah, and it is very possible, but right now I can't say for sure. But I will say that I wouldn't say it's getting better because I drank the water, that's for sure.
Okay, well that's a point because actually my boyfriend has the same thing. He gets a funny skin rash that they've titled as eczema, but not necessarily the medications or stuff that they use to cure eczema are actually working. It's based on a diet, and sometimes you have food interactions, and water is one of them. I know, like, we don't use anything but filtered water or distilled water in the house.
But what do you bathe in? And
that's a good
so
that's the thing.
What we noticed with Lukas is, especially when he was a baby, is and so really, because he was a baby, it was easy to not bathe him as much, and just just keep his diaper area. His butt was perfect. His face, he honestly, Deadpool.
Let's not.
Yeah. Just one thing. The Epsom salts, they help if you take like baths and stuff, but if you take showers, you can't really use that.
Right. So one of the things that we did is that we would put, because I'm a chemist, I'm a biogeochemist, so I would use chemistry to figure this out. So I know that magnesium and fluoride really like to bind, and that fluoride can cause dermatitis, contact dermatitis. So what we would do is we would put him in a bath, not too hot, just like a good temperature, not too hot, not too cold. It's kind of like Goldilocks. And we would throw in like 2 cups of Epsom salts. We used other things. Oatmeal also works pretty well, and so did clay. Clay actually probably works the best. But clay...
Soil.
Yeah, the soil. It's
that
the earth.
teaching.
Yeah.
Soil, it's
Clay
the earth.
is amazing. Like, clay is its own medicine. We could have a whole nother show on that. But what we found was that for Lukas, what worked really well was water of a certain temperature for a certain length of time, like he wasn't in there really long, and loaded up with Epsom salts, and this worked really well. However, doesn't work really super well in the shower. So for that, I got on the internet, did some research, found a shower head that has activated alumina in it that is also really good at binding with the fluoride. Because the fluoride chemicals, if you could grab the fluoride and the fluoride grabbed the other chemicals that were there, that means you grabbed everything. So you're kind of using fluoride as a magnet. And so that's what I did, because anybody could do it. It's just I actually had some really great chemistry teachers, so I understood why it worked.
For the people with eczema out there, you'd probably recommend some form of exfoliant, being like oatmeal or like a...
No, it's not actually an exfoliant. The thing is that the carbon in the oatmeal is a magnet for the chemicals that were causing the eczema. So what happens is those chemicals prefer to attach to the oatmeal rather than your skin, and you don't have the skin reaction, and the oatmeal doesn't care. Right? So it's a diversionary tactic, really.
I would recommend that, because in my experience, it's worked very well for me. I don't actually remember having any eczema attacks when I was younger, and I ate oatmeal a lot, so I would recommend it because of that, and partially because it's delicious.
And it's the Goldilocks reference again.
You have to have the
we always
oatmeal.
have to talk about Goldilocks and blueberries whenever possible.
Okay, well, we are going to take a momentary break here, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Yeah, boy, oh, water advisory. Boy, oh, water advisory. Boy, oh, water advisory.
And we're back. And we're here with Micah and Heather Gingrich, and we're talking about the water in the school systems, and the little things you can do to help out yourself, and the little things that you can do to give you a healthier life. Okay, Lukas, you're back.
I am.
Tell me some more.
Tell me some more. Well, about what specifically? Because I actually while we were taking the break, I sort of forgot what we were talking about.
How much your mother embarrasses you without even trying.
We were actually talking about that. I remember
That's
now.
true.
It's my job.
She said somewhere all the mothers were laughing. I don't believe her.
We moms are allowed to laugh, and one thing the Indigenous people love to do is smile and laugh and make others laugh with them. So we're laughing along with them.
Tell you something else, if they're not laughing,
And
you're
that's
in trouble.
Barry behind me there.
That's very true.
Barry has a mother as well. And I'm
yes.
sure she got a few laughs at his expense, because that is part of the payback. What's the point of going through all we have to go through if we
you
can't
make a few laughs
a
earlier?
laugh about it? Seriously.
Okay, well, okay
So-
then.
So we kind of dealt with kind of the school thing and what's happening at home. What about your friends? Like, do your
My
friends have like eczema problems? Or
Well,
do they
actually,
have...
like I said, most of my friends are, I met them in school, and like I said earlier, most of the kids in my class don't have eczema or any of the things I have. Yeah, so that's pretty much that.
I don't know. Is that something you even talk about?
I mean, I don't actually talk
don't
about it that
actually
much
know,
at
do you?
school. I mean, like, I've talked about it like once or twice, and as far as I know, no one does. There could be like one or two, but I don't think it's like a whole class-wide epidemic from what I know, because I know most of the people in that class don't have eczema or asthma or anything like that.
But they could have different aspects of the water.
They could have bad reactions to it and stuff. that's very possible.
Especially the upset stomach.
Yeah, I know.
And thinking that they have the flu when in fact, okay, so here's the thing. The call-in, the attendance line, they have the first, like it's an automated kind of thing, but a lot of people don't understand that flu-like symptoms. They think that gastrointestinal is flu. And what happens is that the public health unit accesses that data from the school board flu, and they think there's a flu outbreak when really it could be just water giving kids nausea.
Also, the one thing is that the way they set up the call-in line, influenza-like illness is first on what you pick. So most people don't know that there's another option, which is illness or injury, and they immediately pick influenza-like illness because they don't know any better.
So that's inflating public health's view of what's going on in the school, and then they use that to push the vaccination for the flu, when really it could be water related.
Also, like lots of kids have adverse reactions to vaccines, so.
Yeah, so that's sort
that being said, that is a
I've
debatable question.
Yes,
so.
it is a very debatable question, but I'll give you, there's an aspect on the flip side of the coin here. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. You know Adele, right? You're familiar with Adele?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she decided that she didn't want to have her child vaccinated or baptized or anything like that, like, standard norm for
vaccinated and baptized.
Yeah.
Two things that must go together.
And the thing is because she decided not to vaccinate her children, and she didn't want to get like a social register number for her kid. That was one of the reasons why she's disappeared on the.
She went off the radar.
She went off the radar on the musical charts due to her choice,
or parental choice.
I think that that's good, because I think that parents, Adele's a great example of this then. I think the parents that should know that they can make their own decision about this. They don't just have to do exactly what their doctor tells them all the time, because there is such thing as a misdiagnosis. So
there is. And who's responsible for making the decision for you and your health?
For your health, most of the time it is your parents.
Yeah, because it's whoever has custody, and that's the doctors are there to basically educate, but they're not there to make the decision for you.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're a big advocate of making your own decisions.
Yes, I very much like my personal freedom.
Yes.
And that's one thing about, the youth nowadays just need to have a voice, and that's why we have Lukas here with us today, along with, moms here, and I thank you for your mom, because your mom's a great person, and we like to have more information, and that's why we did one of the reasons we started water school, and you know that. And but
Lukas did start the water school.
It's good to hear your point of view.
Thank you.
Because it's important that the kids, even if the ones you're going to school with, that actually know you or get to listen to this or something.
Yeah.
They can turn around and say, hey, he knows what he's talking about, and what that does is help you guys, next generation to come, and next generation come. It's like, hey, this was an issue when I was young. Now we can turn around and make it something bigger and say, hey, this has got to stop. So I know your mom's up on the whole Indigenous experience with them, especially when it comes to medically. Now, did you see, you're on Twitter, you're on social media, aren't you?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on, not Twitter, but I'm on social media.
You're on social media. There was a one that came out the other day, and it was politics, but it came out and said, we're going to end tuberculosis by 2023, I believe it was.
It's a bold prediction.
Good luck with that.
What I thought tuberculosis should have ended with the doctrine of discovery, and dealt with back then, not in 2023.
Exactly.
And it's like, we're in 2018 now. You want to wait another 5 years?
I don't think that people should make claims like that, because here's the thing. There's also the fact that you have to wait another 5 years, right? I think that they should say it once they're done, because also there's the fact that, say if you make that bold prediction and it doesn't pan out, that's not good.
Can I just put in a plug here for the tuberculosis bacterium, which is what we would call in Indigenous science a no-legged. And the TB bacteria actually has a job. And the job for the tuberculosis bacteria, tuberculinum, or hang on, tuberculinum. I can't remember what the Greek or Latin is, but that particular no-legged.
It's okay, we're indigenous.
Yeah. So the job, it's a naturally occurring bacteria whose job is when you have to modify your physical body cell by cell and get it ready, like you've gone through a season and you don't need those structures and you need to change, you need to retool, you need to do a hardware upgrade. The
Kind of like your vitamin, let's make it simple, kind of like vitamin D in the summertime. So you take vitamin D in the wintertime to get...
However, it's actually the thing. If it were not for the tuberculosis bacteria, the tuberculosis bacteria is actually the little construction worker in your body that does the renovations, that does the upgrades. And so when you have it in your lungs, there is such a thing as an imbalance. So I'm not saying that when you have an imbalance, like too many of one kind of bacteria, and it's not a healthy ecosystem in your lungs, there's problems. And so it's usually a reflection of how healthy the external environment is. Mm-hmm. So in the residential schools, there's a lot of problems with TB, but those were schools that did not have good air quality. They were schools that probably also did not have good water quality, and the nutrition was not good, and they had like a whole bunch of kids packed into a really small space. So there wasn't, like a school is an example of an unhealthy, out of balance ecosystem. So what you see on the outside was really a reflection of what was happening on the inside in the lungs, because what your lungs do is they get oxygen into your bloodstream, and every other cell in your body needs that oxygen. So when you see something happening with the lungs, it's not a matter of like, oh, let's have a war on that particular superbug. You have to ask some questions. What's out of balance here? And how is your body and the bacteria that live in a symbiosis kind of relationship with your body, how are they trying to fix your problem?
Okay, so what would be the proper term that disease being spread on contact from Europeans, what would that actually be?
So given the proper, like that, that's just trade. You know what, you're trading flora and fauna, like it's trade. So the bacteria that thrived in an environment in Europe under certain environmental and social conditions, right? Because you got humans, right? And they may be living in close proximity with animals or something else that's different. And then they get on a boat, and it hasn't been very many generations. Then you move from one place to the other place. And all of a sudden you're in a different environment where, the people and the animals that live there, this is something new for them. Well, give them enough time and support and proper conditions. They can learn to bring that new culture. We talk about bacterial cultures. Yeah. And they can learn to make that part of their culture in a healthy way. Problem happens when these things happen too quickly, and
causes death.
There's violence. There's an element of violence. There's an element of, no, we're not going to take our time negotiating this new relationship, getting to understand each other, getting a common language, getting some safety boundaries, some safety parameters. So you see the same thing in prisons, actually. You see the same kinds of, like TB is a congregate disease. Because remember, I went to Harvard. We teach this stuff in Harvard like today, now. Like the people who were in the class after me are learning exactly the same thing. And they will tell you that TB is a problem in prison populations. And it's for the same reason that it was a problem in the residential schools. Because the conditions are
conditions aren't great in prison.
Well, no, and there's a huge element of a whole bunch of people are packed into a space that don't want to be there.
Yeah,
and there's a whole bunch of people
who
are quote unquote caring for them that would rather they be dead. So
prisons aren't great.
Prison guards do their job, and wardens, because they get paid. It's not because they really believe they're helping anybody, I don't think.
I mean, well, that's debatable, but I think, yeah, that's pretty debatable. But
Why
actually,
do people do that?
I don't know. But anyways, so
Why do you think, Lucas?
I'm actually not sure about that, but I just kind of thinking while you were talking about, remember earlier when we were talking about Adele and how she kind of, isn't on the top charts anymore because of the decision she made with her child. So that was I think it's a good example to other parents and stuff like that. But on the flip side of that, I was also
Do you think
thinking
parents should have to go into hiding just so they can raise their children the way they feel comfortable?
No, I don't. I feel like
No,
people
but-
should have the right to make their own decisions, informed decisions. And I think that Adele was a good example. When I'm thinking about like water and fluoride and, vaccinations and stuff like that, I'm thinking there are good examples like Adele and there are bad examples. Do you guys know of the Alex Jones show?
I certainly do.
Heard of
because
Alex
it's
Jones.
played in my house, or it's played at my place, probably on a daily basis, except when he goes off on a rant. That's the same thing that was 10 minutes earlier.
Exactly.
I go off on a rant and people get mad at me. Alex Jones has a show.
I get mad at Alex Jones
No,
too.
the one thing with Alex Jones is that he's actually anti-fluoride. And the thing is that when someone like Alex Jones says he's anti-fluoride, people are like, well, I'm not going to do that because someone like Alex Jones is anti-fluoride because he's, out there and he's
Right.
he's famous for his
Do you know
rants
who else
and
is
stuff.
anti-fluoride?
Who?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, see, that's not good. That's not giving people good examples. I mean, it doesn't matter.
That's not a good example.
come these
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That
It
is
doesn't
why
matter
not.
if you
People not
like
allowed to
Donald
have
Trump
their-
or not, but
Is Donald Trump not allowed to have an opinion about this?
he is allowed to have an opinion, but I'm saying that he isn't really qualified or anything.
Does it?
And I'm saying, yeah, you're
Now
right.
the question is, Donald Trump he is a person with a particular position.
Yes.
Should he be allowed to enforce his opinion on other people?
I mean, even if you're the president of the United States, your job isn't to tell everyone what to do. It's to listen to the people, to hear what they want to do, and then make decisions about that.
Well, what kind of decisions?
Well,
In their best interest, or maybe safety-related decisions?
it's about keeping public safety, but it's not about what's in your best interest. It's about what's in the people's best interest.
And who has the best handle on what's in the public best interest?
Well, it should be the president because he hears all of these things.
Why not?
No, it's okay. I was done.
I was about to say,
okay.
why not the public themselves?
Well, the public. No, I'm saying who is the best to hear all these things from the
Okay,
public.
yes. Who's
Yes.
the best to make the personal decision about what is in an individual best interest?
That the public, but the public is supposed to elect people who they think is best suited to make decisions on behalf of them.
Are you sure? Or are they the ones that are supposed to communicate?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Their job is to elect someone that they think will communicate well with them so they can get their interests through and stuff.
Right. So if the public is asking for laws that are safety related, and especially about protecting their right to choose what they feed their children, what sort of medicine they choose. Because we were talking about the Michaela Salt case on the way in, on the drive-in, right? So that was a really recent example about an 11-year-old girl.
2015,
Yeah.
3
and,
years ago.
and you're 11 right now,
That's
right?
right.
You're 11 years
I'm
old.
actually 12.
Are you 12?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm a bad mother. So, Michaela
okay.
Salt was
I'm sure it
11 years
happens.
old. And she decided, actually against her parents. Her parents were really pushing for the colonial medical solution because that's what they believed was best. But Michaela said, no, I want to go back to the medicine of my people, which would have been the Anishinaabe. She was from Mississaugas of New Credit, and she belonged to that community and was raised in that community. And so she, at 11 years old, said, no, I don't want this chemotherapy drug that you keep giving me because she had really horrible side effects.
I know, and that's never good. If someone, it's kind of like, in that case, the risk definitely was much more than the reward, if there was any.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. So now, in your opinion, should Michaela Salt, as an 11-year-old girl, be able to say no thank you to something that doesn't make her feel good?
Yes, I mean, it's obviously the answer is a fat yes, because the thing is that, it doesn't matter,
A well-fed yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a well-fed yes. Yes, that should be a new term of speech.
A very well-fed, a healthy yes.
A healthy yes.
Yeah.
My point is that if it doesn't make her feel good and she doesn't like it, then she's not going to want to be on it, and it's just not a good situation through and through. She
That's
should
like
be able to make her own
battling
decisions.
yourself against the battle.
Exactly.
That's happening
I
within you.
don't think that doctors who don't know exactly what she feels should be allowed to, they can give her advice, sure, and they can teach her about what they think is the best, but she, at the end, and her parents should be the one to together make the decision.
So do you think that Justin Gethin Edwards made the right call when
Don't know who Justin.
Justin Gethin? Oh, what happened is Michaela.
Make it short.
Michaela said no, thank you. McMaster Health Sciences Center then went to Brant County Children's Aid Society and requested that Michaela be apprehended out of her parents' care and put in the care of the McMaster Health Sciences Center so that they could force treatment on her because it was in her best interest.
Yeah, no,
So-
that should never be.
Human rights.
Yeah, exactly.
They did that to me the other day. I'm
Right.
not happy with that.
They should
So-
not be asking those questions because the answer is an obvious no. And if the answer is somehow a yes, then you're not doing something right.
So Brant County CAS did not take the bait. They did not go for the sucker punch. They said, no, these are good parents. And so, but McMaster Health Sciences Center did not let it drop there. Then they took it to the Supreme Court. Sorry, it was Ontario Superior Court, where they ran into Justice Gethin Edwards. And they said, Children's Aid won't issue the apprehension order, so we're asking you to. Because if you don't force chemotherapy on this girl, she's going to die. And Justin Gethin Edwards, although that sounds very Welsh, is actually an Indigenous man who happens to be an Ontario Superior Court judge. And he said that Michaela had Indigenous right to choose her own medicine.
Yes, those are
Yes.
the type of judges we need. Because without those, people get away with things like that.
Yep. So you think Justice Gethin Edwards
Oh, he made the right decision
call.
by far.
Right.
That's not even a hard question.
So what
That's a really good thing to stand up
Yeah,
for.
exactly.
The human being and the right to be able to say,
Yeah.
no, this isn't good for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I need a different opinion, a
Yeah.
different doctor, a different something, but you need the support within the system because we've talked about it before, and as much as I'm balking against the fact that I have a family doctor,
Yeah.
I turn around, I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't trust them. And I think trust is a really big
You
thing.
wouldn't want someone giving you advice if you don't think they care about you or anything.
What do you think that they would? Because this has actually happened with you,
And me.
yeah, where different people have said, "Hey, Lucas, you don't know what's in your best interest.
Oh, yes.
You don't know your body. We're going to force this on you for your own good." What would you like to say to people who think that they know what's in your best interest?
Well, I think that in terms
This
of
one goes out for my dietitian too.
I think in terms of human rights, it doesn't matter what you think is best. You still have to let the person decide for themselves what is best.
So, what does say? Lucas was homeschooled, so here's a
was,
little
actually.
test. What does Section 1 of the Ontario Human Rights Code state?
I'm pretty rusty, if I'm going to
Okay.
be honest.
I've
I've been in public school for 2 years now.
I
Mom.
know.
You
you've
can't expect me to
forgotten
remember
everything.
this.
My gosh, it's only took 2
Jeez.
years. Everything. So Section 1 of the Ontario Human Rights Code is used very frequently, and it says you cannot be denied access to services on the basis of age, race, gender.
Oh, I'm remembering this one now.
Right. So one of the problems that we're having, especially in the school system right now, or the medical system, is this whole idea of children. Do they have capacity to make medical decisions, educational decisions, legal decisions under the age of 18?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a tough one because
Yeah.
on the one hand, I mean, again, this is another very debatable one because on the one hand,
But
if they're
we're
making...
talking to you, so we
Yeah,
want to hear
I know.
your opinion.
Again, if they're making if they actually know what's in their best interest and they are comfortable making those decisions and they make good decisions, then, obviously that's a good thing. But if they if they actually don't know what's in their best interest, and I know that I'm saying this even though it frustrates me sometimes when people don't think that I know what's in my best interest, I'm saying that I can sort of see a point to not allowing children to make their decisions under 18, because there might be some kids who, don't make, the right ones.
We talk a lot about consent.
We do.
In our home. Like it's like consent
great.
school. So
actually,
free,
can I
prior, and informed consent.
Yeah, can I add on to that actually? I think that the one thing is, I don't think that maybe not allow children to make their decisions single-handedly by themselves, but at least let them have a say. They should deserve a say. They should be asked.
So you think they should be at the table?
Yeah, guidance.
Give you what mom should do is give you guidance, saying, okay, this is how I understand things.
Yeah,
this is how I see things. But ultimately, you know your body best.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why I keep trying to tell my dietitian that, but she doesn't think it's in my best interest for myself to think that.
Yeah.
So,
and you are over 18.
And I
so
am
this is not something that gets magically better once you
not.
cross the 18-year-old threshold, but it is something that professionals feel like, and that's a really contentious issue right now.
Yeah.
Because you have people who have professional licenses who think that means that you have abdicated decision-making responsibility when you come and consult them.
Yeah,
so
isn't that the truth?
In terms of just consent in general, we should have better consent rules. Like, children, no matter how old, should always be asked. And I think that, sure, maybe if you don't feel comfortable with that, maybe don't let your kids make decisions all by themselves. But at least allow them to be part of the discussion. Just don't.
So, by all means.
Can I just jump in where the shark-infested waters are warm? So one of the things that I hear a lot of, and I am a Western-trained, United Nations recognized scientist. So one of the things I hear of all the time is we cannot allow Indigenous communities to govern themselves. Because
why not? They know what's best for themselves.
Well, this is what I hear. So this whole idea of informed consent.
Mm-hmm. Informed consent, yes. So they should know what they're saying yes to.
So exactly.
Now, how does that? How do you see? Another thing I like to say is that there's different ways of knowing.
That is true.
So I have a certain way, like I'm very fortunate, and I try to pass those teachings on to you. I have access to both Indigenous knowledge systems, and I have access to colonial knowledge systems.
Yeah.
And I can play the whole range. Mm-hmm. So you look at me and you can say, oh, well, there's someone, she can make an informed decision. And that is true. But even though I can make maybe the best informed decision, do I have any right to then make decisions for other people?
No, you don't. I feel like you should have the right to inform them, but you should not have the right to actually make the decision. The actual decision should be left to them. The information should be left to you. You should tell them. You should tell them
it's my job as a teacher to share my knowledge.
Exactly, and that's what I think most doctors get it wrong at this point, where they try and tell you what you should do instead of just telling you the options or something. Exactly. They aren't advising, they're ordering.
So let's say that the river is the patient right now, and we know that the river is showing some signs and symptoms of being not healthy. Mm-hmm. How should we, work together as people who live in the same watershed, who are sort of reliant on the same river, the same hydrogeology? What does that mean in terms of Indigenous ways of knowing and colonial, like settler ways of knowing, newcomer ways of knowing? And so what does that mean? Is there a way you think that we can work together to combine both of our knowledge systems in a good way?
Yeah, I do think that's very possible, because there's a lot of things that you can put together in terms of those teachings. But I just think sometimes, it's hard for people to work together. But I think that if we did, it could actually be very well, and we'd actually get the best results.
So you have spent a lot of time, probably more than other kids coming from your culture and your background in Indigenous communities, where that's what we're doing. That's why we're there.
Yeah.
We're talking about the water. So what
go with her
did
a
you
lot.
do? What did you do to break the ice?
To break the ice?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, one time we went up to this gathering. Was it in Bushy River?
Bushy River, yeah, northern Alberta.
Mhm.
Near the,
And I made friends with one of the kids there. And we actually, his mom, unfortunately, she had cancer. We were pretty sure it was because of the water. But I don't know. The way I get to know them is just I make friends with them. I make friends easily.
So what did you guys? What were some of the things? His name was Torrin.
Yeah,
right?
Torrin. I
Collins,
wasn't sure if we should
and
say
he
his
is like
name.
a math prodigy. He like won the grade 2
yeah, he was
national
really
math
good.
Olympics.
He put me to shame, and I thought I was good at that.
So what were some of the things that you and Torrin did? You'd never met this kid before.
No, yeah.
You know, so what did you do?
I distinctly remember this. The first thing I'm pretty sure I did when I met Torrin is we talked a little bit. Like, we figured out what each other liked, and we both really liked video games. So one of the first things we actually did is I went back to his house, and we actually played, like, a lot of video games together. It was...
Colossal. And was there a four-wheeler involved?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that was really fun. We also... It was, yeah...
And there were some bear sightings.
There were actually a few bear sightings.
It's northern Alberta.
It was all good fun.
Well,
though.
that's we're gotta wrap up the time here. So, Lukas, thank you for coming in today. It's been very wide opening. I've actually got a little message here that says, "Man, Lukas is doing awesome." So I'm going to share that message with you. And as well as Heather, thanks again for coming in. Tune in next month. I believe it's May 25th, the next water school. And Onagawahe, Bamapi, until later, we're going to sign off with Billy Joe Green and Anishinaabe Lessons Spirit World.
Thank you.